99. Yeah, it's just under 10. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, you mentioned that fire has come up here quite a bit. We can see it. I was
Yes.
just wondering, a lot of people would be scared.
Yeah.
Or if they didn't know about the ecology, they might feel like their landscape was destroyed. And I was
Okay.
just wondering if you could speak a little bit about your personal experience and
Oh,
perspectives on it.
Okay. Now you're getting into some territory here, but I'll do my best. On any subject you want to talk about, there are different perspectives, right? And clearly our perspective is different. If you think about it, who lives in the forest more than any other person in the national forest? At least talk about the people who are paid, right? It's trail crew and lookouts. I think that would be correct. Maybe Paradise Earl. So that we do see this more as our home. And when it's your home, you start to get feelings of possessiveness in a way. I mean, you realize it's not yours. It's yours as much as it is mine. But you're here every day, and so you get to see it every day. And I look out at my yard at home. Are dandelions good or are they not good? My neighbors think they're bad. I think they're fine. Anyway, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we have different perspectives about what looks good. As some of us were discussing earlier, Smokey Bear did a great job of letting us know green forests offer more. I think we still have signs like that, right? This or this, green or black. And I think that we, of our generation are sort of products of that. So we tend to think of beauty in a particular way. And when we first started in 1980, we were Smokey's Little Helpers, and we were going to crush out demon fire, right? And we had a real purpose and a zeal for it. But then we also, our first year, we had the first prescribed natural fire in the Apache Sitgreaves and the Oak Fire, which was actually a reburn, but that's another story. But and we started to think about it differently. Fire is just as natural as rain, right? It is part of the ecosystem. Death is just as much a part of life as being born, but it sure hurts when your dad dies, I think that, we're trying to reevaluate it. There's some areas, I hate to see the soil just sterilized, when it burns so hot, when it's so nuked. I mean, my heart breaks for Hellsouth Acre Creek down here. That's a beautiful canyon, with huge trees and stuff, and it's obviously different. I got to try to think in geologic time, but sometimes that's hard. I'm ambivalent. I guess that's the best way to put it. Does that answer it all? My wife did an art piece, a sculptural piece, in response to the fire last year, and it was called "Things That Were Not Wrapped," in reference to the tower. The tower survived, right? And it's kind of a totem idea with a tree, and it had a bear paw, it had a fish, it had dead fish, it had, and it had, what else did it have on there? It had a human heart, oversized human heart there. And so you've got the kind of the scientific, the ecological, the professional approach to it, the detached, the abstract, versus, how you personally feel about it. And it's a tough thing, you want to, I want to drink the Kool-Aid, but I can't drink the last drop. So is that fair, Dave?
That's very fair.
Okay,
Very fair.
and so it's we find ourselves with our own personal feelings trying to gauge those against, weigh those against, what has certainly been happening forever in here, and but being up here does change your way of thinking. This is the most human beings I've been around in a while, and when we're up here, we are clearly the minority species, and it helps you think about things a lot differently. And I think, number one, you have time to think, which we don't down in town. But I have mixed emotions about it.
But you can think about, Mark talks about drinking the Kool-Aid, convincing, and again, it's this call about the challenge of wilderness. The challenge is to keep your hands off and to allow the natural forces to prevail, even if it's burning a place that you feel very attached to. It's not it's your attachment. That's all it is. It's your attachment. Hell's Half Acre Creek, a beautiful, cool creek, was. I admit, when I saw that big column coming out of Hell's Half Acre Creek that Mark took from Salmon, I thought, oh damn. But it will be back. It will be back. Not in my lifetime. Maybe in my grandchildren's lifetime. And when it does,
Yeah.
it will be natural. It will be what was meant to be if we really embrace this idea of wildness and allowing Mother Nature to be wild. Sometimes we have to give up a little bit of what we hold dear for the future.
But out here though, I agree with what you say, Dave. I do. But out here we do have this juxtaposition of the road,
Yes.
the Gruder corridor, and and things that we are protecting. I mean, I think in many ways it would be great to let her rip, but we couldn't just do that. I mean, it's you're protecting a road and you're protecting. There's other outfitters out here, and with investments and things, and yeah, it's about as wild as we're going to get, I guess.
And many wildernesses are not large enough to even approach this kind of wildness. They just couldn't. I mean, this fire, the wilderness where I was when I was 12, when I decided to work for the Forest Service, was smaller than the Gold Pan fire, the whole wilderness. So, and it had not seen fire for a long, long time. In fact, they talked about the big McIntyre burn in that wilderness, and it was a fire that we would regard as pretty small here. So some of those wildernesses are just not big enough to handle nature on this kind of scale. They can't handle wolves on this kind of scale neither. There's not enough room. But we have enough room here. Like I said, the Selway is about the size of Glacier Park. The Frank Church is about the size of Yellowstone Park. That's room. That's room for fire to roam. That's room for wolves to roam. And that's a birthright of every American citizen to have that for the future. And it may be their great-grandchildren who appreciate it the most. We don't know. We get religious here. We better watch out. I can get too far.
You sound really positive when talking of fire.